Hi everyone, and welcome back to Leeroy's Kitchen. It's been a while since I've posted, so I thought I'd better put something up for you all. It's leftover day, so I want to get rid of a lot of my leftovers. So I thought I'd make a baked pasta. Baked pasta is something I really hated as a kid, you know, oily from the cheese, the meat was always dry, no flavour. So I've come up with a pretty unusual baked pasta recipe, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. So got a cup of spiral pasta. You can use macaroni as long as it's sort of some sort of small pasta. Now I have pre-cooked that, it's already done. I've got some tasty cheese slithers done with a vegetable peeler, not grated. There's probably about 80 grams there. My spice mixture, I've got a good handful of continental parsley, a couple of teaspoons of coriander, half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and a couple of teaspoons of turmeric. You also need sugar for this dish. Now my leftover veggies, you can use whatever you like. I've got half a leek, brown onion, half a red onion, some frozen peas and corn, 3 or 4 cloves of garlic, a couple of red chilies and some red capsicum. Like I say, you can put in there whatever you like. I've got a couple of eggs which will help bind the dish, and I've pre-done some beef mince, about 400 grams of beef mince, and a couple of leftover chicken sausages which I boiled for about 5 minutes before I cooked my pasta. Alright, so we've got to pre-cook some of this stuff before we put it into the oven, so we'll get ahead with that. All my vegetables that were on that platter have been just chucked in all at the same time into this pan, just with a touch of oil. I'm just going to cook them down for about 3 or 4 minutes. I don't want to cook them till they're totally soft. I just want to get the rawness out of the onion, the garlic, you know, unfreeze the peas and corn, stuff like that, and then we'll continue on with the rest. My veggies have been cooking for about 3 minutes, so now I'm just going to add back the meat to the pan and give that a stir. I did forget to mention at the start, you also need a tin of chopped or diced tomatoes. I'm going to add that in shortly with the spices, and you'll see it all come together. Time now to put in my tin of diced tomatoes and my little spice mixture with the parsley. Give that a stir, and then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar, and then we're going to bring that to the boil so that the sugar dissolves. Add the pasta and then start getting ready to bake. My sugar has gone in and dissolved. Now we're just going to add back the pasta, stir that through, and then we'll get all our stuff ready to bake in the oven. Here is my baking dish. It's basically just one of my frying pans, and I've taken the handle off it. It's a perfect size for this dish, so I like to use this pan. Now I've got some leftover pita breads. I've just cut 3 in half, and what I'm going to do with the pita breads is I'm just going to line my pan up with these pita breads. Doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as it's all covered. There we go, that's covered. Now what I'm going to do is get my mixture in there, and then we'll finish it off with the egg and the cheese. My mixture's in my dish ready to go. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to drizzle over those 2 eggs which I've beaten all the way across the top, and it will find its way down to the bottom and start setting the dish together. I'm going to put a good sprinkle of salt and pepper on this, and then throw the cheese on the top, and then finally we get to put it in the oven for about half an hour. Alright, so I've given it a good sprinkle of salt and pepper. The cheese is on. It's going to go into the oven for half an hour. Now you'll see these bits of pita bread sticking up. Now they'll actually char in the oven. I absolutely love burnt pita bread. That tastes amazing, and it goes really well with this. You don't have to add the pita bread. You can just cook it, you know, without it in your dish or your pan or whatever in the oven. But I think it just adds a good crunch and element to the dish. So that's going to go in the oven for half an hour on about 220 degrees, and we'll see what it looks like when it comes out. Just taken the pasta bake out of the oven. Took about 25 minutes. As you can see, I've got this beautiful char on the pita bread. It's still sizzling away, so I'm going to give it 10 or 15 minutes to cool down before I slice it. Enjoy.